Great day in the morning, Bravehearts, Urbanites, and SEQ Nation. And welcome to our, I'll say it's our second segment of the Coaches Chronicles. Now, I have to say, in the beginning, I was not planning on recording them so close together. But I hadn't made a schedule on when I was going to record anyway. So, and I think that's pretty cool. I think that me allowing myself to just organically record whenever my heart tells me to means that I won't be disappointed if, in fact, I don't stay with preset schedule, or mainly that one. Because one thing that I've been noticing is that I will try to plan life, and life will show me that it has a different agenda. And then I end up being all upset with myself, and it's like this whole Thea, you suck thing. Not realizing that, okay, yeah, you planned for this, but greater divine, the greater divinity of life says something different. And of course, since you have to abide by what is called divine intervention because you are of human, you have to go as life precedes you to do, right? As life tells you, like life will step in and intervene and say, yeah, I know that this is what you plan to do today, but here's what's going down for real. And you have to adjust. And when I have an issue in the past, I have to say I'm pretty good at it now. But back then, I used to have an issue with life not going according to my plan, or something else happening and me not achieving what's on my to-do list. And then next thing you know, I go into this whole mode of being inadequate, or not being successful, or not being able to accomplish said goal, or whatever. I don't know. For some reason, goals and schedules, see, to combine the two seems like a setup. To me, it seems like an emotionally draining setup. Don't get me wrong. That's not to say that you can't have goals, and that's not to say you can't plan your schedule. But when you start to transfer goals onto the schedule and you have no idea what tomorrow brings, a setup. So the way I've been doing it, especially for 2015, well, we're only 21 days into 2015, and I think I'm doing pretty good. I'm going to check in with myself regularly to to kind of benchmark and oversee this thing. But in reality, what I'm finding out is that it's okay for me to have the goals. So I will continue to keep my list of goals. And then when life brings me to meet those goals, I will check it off. No longer will I be saying, okay, so by Thursday, I'm going to have this article written. Because then when Thursday comes, and just like yesterday, case in point, let me just say, okay, so Monday and Tuesday are my lighter days. So my mom is now at the brink of 80, and so I do, running around with her. I do, I drive her around while we do things. We run errands, go to post office, go to grocery store, take her to the doctors, whatever it is that she needs to do. If we got to do the ripping and running, we try to make sure that it's on a Monday or a Tuesday. So yesterday, sometimes me being the aggressive me, I had said, okay, well, I'll take mama out in the morning, and then when I get back home, I will go over some stuff and maybe record, or, I actually had the nerve to put work. No, I didn't put it on there. I had it in the back of my mind that when I got home, I was going to tackle a couple of work-related projects, or get into them at least. So mom tells me, she's like, okay, well, I need to go to Pohanka because I have a slow leak in my tire. We get to Pohanka maybe about 9. And she knew some other things was wrong with the car. She just didn't know what. But the main thing, because she said put air in the tire, and I have to tell you, my mom is not the type where you can go up to the gas station and put the air in the tires. I don't know what that is with her, but she's really particular about who fools around with the car. So she wants to take it back to Pohanka. That's just the way my mom is. You cannot talk her out of it. She's been that way forever. She truly believes nobody understands the car better than the makes. The manufacturers, the makers of it. Which, I mean, if you think about it, that's kind of like the whole life learning mantra, right? Like, nobody knows the product better than the creator of the product. So, she is a dealer type person, especially when it comes to maintenance. She, it's one of those things where I will pay a little bit more money, but I will know that it's done. Okay, so we get in there, and they go and they check the car out, come back with this. She knew she needed a new battery. Okay, so she knew she needed a new battery. But it was like 4 other things on that list. And I'm like, we just came to get some air and the freaking tire. So my mom's like, well, it's better to go ahead on and do it now. We getting ready to go, and spring's coming. I was going to already have a tune up and have it, yada yada. Girl comes back, she says, okay, well, if you want to get it done today, it's going to take about 3 hours. Now, I hadn't told my mom that that I was like planning other stuff to do when I got home. But for real, it was not important. It wasn't, I ain't gonna say it wasn't important, but it wasn't important for me to take care of it yesterday. So she looks over at me. She's like, Thea, is that okay? And I'm thinking technically in my head, like, okay, well, this is your day. Because I usually know when I'm out with my mom, I don't pretty much schedule anything. I'm out of the office. Dealing with my mom. So I was like, yeah, that's cool. So they gave us a courtesy car. And we went on and finished doing our errands and stuff. But all of that to say is that life takes its own course. And even though you have goals and objectives and ambitions and all of that kind of stuff, that it still has to be kind of flexible when you're talking about life being involved. And I went into all of that to say that life takes on its own course, right? And that I need not be feeling discouraged or feeling inadequate as a result of life taking its own course. If I don't reach it today, as long as I don't lose sight of it, I will reach it. Because who's to say? Who's to say when I'm going to reach certain things? Who's to say when and where? Who? Like, only the heavens can say that. And without having like one-on-one conversations with my divine intervention, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. But when I don't achieve something, I want to attach it to my self-worth. And sometimes to put stock in that, and I did it for years, and I'm telling you, my stock was so low. My stock with regards to self-esteem and self-confidence and ingenuity and just self-innovation and just the value of my self-stock, it was low because I always wanted to attach my objective to life as if I was the one who knew how it was going to go down. Totally bogus. Okay, so all of that to say that in conjunction with, so 3 days ago, I was having a conversation with one of my leaders, and we were talking about how it is that, we are slow to realize ourselves and the greatness of ourselves because of fear. And it struck a chord when she was talking to me, because the very things that she said was going on with her was going on with me. Like, The fear of rejection is one of the greatest powers on the planet. Anything attached to fear has the power to manipulate the soul and discombobulate the psyche. It has it. Fear is one of the great ones of emotion. The emotion of fear is one of the great ones. Rejection is one of the devastating ones. That's one of the assassins. Rejection is an assassin, is an emotional assassin. What movie is that? And I'm gonna look it up right now because I want to tell you about it. It's with Jane Fonda, and I love. Is it Jane Fonda? Oh, I'm sorry. Why did I say Jane Fonda? And I wanted. I just realized my mouth was hanging open. It is Jane Fonda. Okay. I was about to say, for some reason, Jane Fonda just felt so old school, but that is who she is, which is one of my American idols. Jane Fonda is one of my, it seems like she's just like fine wine. She just continues to get better with age. And her aura on the screen is just priceless. Okay, so she is in a movie, 2011 movie called Peace, Love, and Misunderstanding. And it is a great story. She's a Woodstocker. So she's a hippie. She, from back in the day, but she has a lot of aura of love and peace, and she goes into the tranquility of life and the therapeutic values of natural medicine and holistic balance and all of the good stuff in life. And so one thing that she said to her grandson, which I thought was completely priceless: exclusion is an unnecessary evil. Exclusion is an unnecessary evil. So I'm particular with rejection. I am very, very particular with it. I think that, as well as Jane Fonda, I think it's unnecessary. I think it's cruel. But as we know, especially on American soil, it seems like cruelty is America's middle name, especially unnecessary cruelty. So I am a product of the environment rich in rejection. So now that I'm at a point where I have crafted DC Urban Mentors, DCU is like my baby, and I'm a bit protective with it being rejected. And I know that as it continues to grow, it will no longer be mine because it's not about me. But sometimes when you have a project such as DC Urban Mentors and you have to be put into the spotlight, you neglect to realize that the project will take on a life and a mind of its own, and that if it is rejected, it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with you. And it doesn't mean that they are rejecting you per se. But that whole rejection thing, just rejection, period, just kind of... So, fearful of that. Totally fearful of that. And so, we were talking about it, and she just explained it in a way that I felt like she was me. It was that moment in the conversation where we aligned as one. And the only thing that I could say to her is, I so feel you. I so feel what you feeling. I know what you're talking, man. I know it. Okay, so I after that conversation, so of course, because I was out with my mom, I didn't get to check my emails yesterday. So I got this morning, open up my email, and I get this email from, I'm on a distribution list for Coach Tia. So it's CoachTia.com, Coach Tia, TIA.com. She is a phenom when it comes to the woes and challenges and triumphs of life coaches. I think I've been on her list maybe about 2 years, and I have to say, never ever have I received any content that did not move me. And I am a critic of content. I guess just me being a curator myself, I am very critical of and can immediately spot garbage. Never once. So this comes in yesterday, read it this morning, and um, the opening liner is, "You're a brave heart. You know how I know." And most of you all know, well, most of the ones that know me physically, you know that the tag Braveheart or Urbanite, I instantly perk up because those are our calling names. Those are the names that we are called by. And when I read it, I was like thinking, how she know I'm a brave heart? It's like, you know how I know? And then the message goes down, and it is a quote from Brene Brown, Dr. Brene Brown, as a matter of fact. And she's a researcher of shame and fear. She worked as a social worker. I want to say psychologist, but I'm not exactly sure. I know she is degreed PhD, but I'm not exactly sure what it is. I'm not sure what the discipline. I'm not sure of her discipline, but I know now she started out as a researcher, and then she started to analyze human behavior, and then it just led into, so nowadays she really attacks fear and shame. So the quote says, the quote says, "The willingness to show up changes us. It makes us braver each time." And that moved me as well, because not only am I now reflecting on the conversation that I had with Mel, now I'm going into the reflections of conversations that I had with self over the last couple of days, because this year I will be in the spotlight. And I'm not being forced into the spotlight by life. I am forcing myself into the spotlight because I am very fearful of it. And learning more about myself and realizing that my greatness is right on the outskirts of my comfort zone, as well as understanding that 80% of my success is just by me showing up. So to read that, I was like, oh, shucks now. So I started scrolling. Now I'm excited. Like, okay, what is it that Tia is really getting ready to say right now, right? Okay, so I'm going to read it to you. I'm going to read the entire thing, and you can mull over it and see how you feel about it. Because I know me and Mel are not the only ones, especially when you're talking about mentors and leaders, community leaders, those leaders who on the ground, the community ones, the neighborhood ones, the real urbanites. I know that me and Mel are not the only brave hearts and urbanites out there, especially in Chocolate City, who live with fear, and just so happens that this companion is stagnating us from success. Okay, so the message says, "Hey love, glad to see you're still here. How's your week been? Skated any edges or pushed yourself out of your comfort zone lately? It's been one of those weeks for me for sure. And I've noticed how in many ways, in spite of all of my self-awareness and personal growth work, I still hesitate and second guess myself because of one single reason: fear. of saying the wrong thing, offending someone, stepping over boundaries, being rejected, looking foolish, upsetting the apple cart, etc. In such situations, I quickly realize that I am holding something back when I feel my stomach go all queasy and my heart beat faster. That's when I know it's time for me to walk my talk. Take a deep breath, remind myself that I am living my life. Is that the way it says? Remind myself that I am living my life my way, and politely but firmly speak my mind. Then my body relaxes, my thoughts calm down, and I feel so much better. Sweetness, I know it's not easy, and I have to, real quick, she likes to call you either sparkle pants or sweetness, or she has the most creative nickname tags. It is, and see, I'm a nickname type of person, so I really relate to her when she does the whole, sweetness thing. So she says, sweetness, I know it's not easy to speak up or do something that feels hard to us, especially when we convince ourselves we have something major to lose. But it's really important at such moments to be true to yourself. For the sake of your soul. But it's really important at such moments to be true to ourselves. For the sake of your soul. To be in integrity with who you are. To be a role model for those who are watching you and learning from you. To be a leader. Oh yes, you so are. Who leads by example. My desire for you this week is to grow your courage muscle. Show up fully and dare greatly. Don't stay silent when your body is screaming. Hear it. Let it speak and be heard, because that's what brave hearts do. See? And then she goes on to say that she's right there with you. She says, right there with you. She's right there with you. And I have to say that I too endorse that message, that I am right there with you. And Mel is too. We are all in the realm of greatness, which means fear is going to rear its ugly head just because it wants to keep greatness down, especially greatness of greater good. Now, if it was greatness for evil, it'd be running rampant, because you see the shenanigan that go on out there in the street. So to be great and evil, you got full reign of the place. But greatness for the greater good, yes, evil comes to destroy it. So I'm sure that fear is going to go toe to toe with you as you stand up to be great. But this is, I'm gonna end here. Well, but I'm gonna close out with rereading this part of it. But it's really important at such moments to be true to yourself, for the sake of your soul, to be in integrity with who you are, to be a role model for those who are watching you and learning from you. To be a leader. Oh yes, you are so a leader. And of course I paraphrase that because that's just what I wanted to say, the way I wanted to say it. But it says to be a leader. Oh yes, you so are. Who leads by example. Have to become the living example. And I think allowing your constituents to understand that you are fearful sometimes endorses and enhances the example, because at the end of the day, we're all human. And if anybody thinks that they're going to tell me that they do not live with the emotion fear, that's bogus. Now, to what degree? Because I know that there are some humans that actually excel in the face of fear. I mean, will laugh at fear and keep it moving, and then some will buckle. I'm one of those that will buckle. I have to make sure that I am completely centered when I deal with certain kinds of fear. Now there are some moments of fear where I just ram right on through it. It is what it is. But there are that whole rejection thing. So I know this year, I know 2015 is going to more than likely feel like it's going to constantly give me opportunities to face rejection, to see its full value, and to be able to analyze it from being right in the eye of the storm, right in the core of it. And I never know, because to tell you the truth, it feels like after a couple of moments, not consecutive moments, I would hope, but after a collective amount of moments of being rejected, that I'm going to buckle and just not want to do this anymore. But then I think about it, then do what else, Thea? What else are you going to do? What I do with regards to bringing this movement of mentorship to its pristine level, that's me. It's in my fiber. It's ingrained in my being. I don't know what else. I can't even imagine doing anything else. So I'm willing, because I love it so much. So many people say, and I'm going sidetracked again. I'm going to sidebar it just for a minute, just because I need to say this. But because the majority of my constituency, the majority of my members, my demographic, the majority of them are men, I am always, as a matter of fact, like on a weekly basis, I am posed the question, why aren't you married? I've been married. I've been there and I've done it. Good, bad, or indifferent. I had my moments where I was singing from the rooftops, and then I had my moments where I was stuck in the shadows and in the dark valley of not understanding what that was. And the indifference, where it's like I learned tons of lessons, regardless if it was way, way good or way, way bad. I still learned lessons about me. I learned lessons about relationship. I learned lessons about romance and love and unity. I learned lessons about all of that. And what I have to say with regards to marriage is that you just need to make sure that you are compatible, that you beautifully blend with who it is that you are marrying, and that when you marry legally, now you gotta understand there's two aspects to marriage. There's a spiritual marriage and there is a legal marriage. Now, the spiritual marriage, America would like to condition you to believe is called common law. But I really think that that's only because they can't turn it into a legal agreement. Now, when you go to the Justice of the Peace and you get a marriage license, that means that you are allowing the state to acknowledge you as a legalized entity, a legalized union. That's why divorce is so heartbreaking, because they want to be in the middle of you separating and breaking the deal. You do not have to be legally married to be married. And I think that society conditions have infused such bogusness that folk truly believe, especially women. It seemed like they have women so bogged down with the superficial part, the legality of marriage, not even realizing that marriage is a state of heart and mind, not physical body. And that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day. I'm not gonna get into it, like get into it. Um, but just to say, I've been married before and had a, how can I say, a lotus of a time. Like, it was really, it really represented the lotus flower, because even in the muck of our despair, when things did go bad, it was still so much blossoming between the two of us that we didn't even realize the greatness because we were too busy bickering with each other. But now I have enough life on me. I will say that I'm not in a position where I will say that romance doesn't have the power to unionize me again. I can't say that because I'm never going to say never, because I don't know what life holds. But what I will say, that at this moment in time where I am right now, I'm going to marry my profession. I'm going to marry my profession because I have never done that before. Ever since I was about 14 years old, I have always put the romance of a guy in front of all of what it is that I wanted to accomplish just for me. It was always, I always felt like, to complete me, there needed to be some guy somewhere around. But because I was looking for love in all the wrong places, my guy always ended up being a double-edged sword that wanted to chop my head off. So it was one of those things where I had to do the process of elimination, because it was like, if you don't kill me, I am going to kill you, so that neither one of us have to go down in flames or go to jail. We are going to part. But that was me. That was me looking for love in all the wrong places. Now, for me to stand here, I don't want you to get it misconstrued. I am not one of those women who think that I don't need a man. I'm completely the opposite. Completely the opposite. Understand, I truly believe I am the metaphor of Santiago in the story The Alchemist. I believe that if I marry my profession, or should I say marry the passion of my profession, marry the passion of my personal legend, that as I journey along, the one who is to be my other half will appear. So that meant, with that said, that means that I am no longer going to be searching under rocks and looking in the wrong place for my other half. My other half is somewhere on the journey to me pursuing my personal legend, which happens to be in part my my professional passion. So all of that is rounded, all of that will round me, so that this time when it happens, and I know that it is going to happen because it is something that I do want, I'm just not going to be rushful about it. I'm going to be very, very patient with that particular part of my life, because what I do know is that when you co-join with the one you are meant to co-join with, and when you diligently make sure that your life is free and open and ready for co-joinment, magical things happen. So that means that I am willing to put forth my time and attention to my professional projects, and making sure that I am who I am supposed to be personally, that when he does show up, I am going to be able to be elaborate with love, romance per se. I'm not going to really have any issues with regard to loving him and receiving love from him, or romancing him and receiving romance from him, because now I am taking the time to just do me, to be me, so that I will have something to offer when it does arrive. So I just figured like I wanted to take care of that collectively all together, to just put it all aside. Now, that's not to say that I'm not going to continue to come up or it's not going to continue to come up in the conversation. TC, why aren't you married? And there is no short version answer to that. I'm still working on that. I'm still working on the short answer to that. But I figured I would take a moment to address it now, since we're talking about fear and daring to be great and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm daring to be great now, and I like where I am now. I like the fact that I'm no longer the desperate housewife. I'm no longer the woman who desperately seeking romance. I've put romance in its place, and I've tamed it. It is now simmering. I'm no longer lustful, and I have to say that makes it really, really great, because now I don't put all my lustful nature does not get in the way of me pursuing my personal legend. Because people, not people, but I noticed that there are a lot of women, they're fearful of being alone. And I'm just saying women because I'm a woman. I know that it's a human thing. It's just human nature. You don't necessarily want to be alone. But I think there is a point in our lives, especially once you get over 40, where you have to tame that thing. You have to make sure that romance understands that it is only going to be in your life when it is conducive to where you're going and what you're doing. When it begins to stagnate you, or it begins to hinder you, it needs to go take a seat. And you need to go make it take a seat. So, let's see. I'm going to end it. Maybe I will read it one more time, and then we're going to close out. But it's really important at such moments to be true to yourself. For the sake of your soul, to be in integrity with who you are, to be a role model for those who are watching you and learning from you, to be a leader. Oh yes, you so are. Who leads by example. My desire for you this week is to grow that courage muscle. Show up fully and dare greatly. Don't stay silent when your body is screaming. Hear it, let it speak, and be heard. Because that's what brave hearts do. So I am going to end here. I'm hoping that that message will give you some encouragement with regards to running towards fear. In one of my other segments, I remember referencing courage with light of running towards the fire. In life, especially with mentors, we are the firefighters of emotional fires. We are the firefighters with regards to emotional and intellectual fires, and we have to run towards those fires. Many times our constituents are going through burning hell on the inside, and it is our job to run towards the fire, give them a different example so that they be able to extinguish that fire. We can't do it for others if we are not willing to do it for ourselves. So with that said, just know that I am and will be reluctantly taking the spotlight until it's no longer an issue of fear, rejection, hesitance, dormancy, or whatever else, complacency, or just plain old discomfort. I've taken up my sword. I have taken up my sword, and it is double-edged, and it is very sharp. Seems like the only thing that I really do have going for me is my ability to articulate. And I have been hearing that words that have been strung up properly is sharper than a double-edged sword. So I am taking up my sword to be able to slay this fear that I have. And just know that if you ever see me in person and I get to stuttering, just know that inwardly I am battling. So be patient with me. Just give me a moment. Just give me a moment so that I can redirect and just give me a moment so that I can deal with all of that on the inside so that it may flow to you properly. With that said, I'm hoping that you will have a wonderful year. So it's January 21st. I am hoping that you will have a wonderful Wednesday. And until we speak again, namaste. Oh, and check this out. I don't even know how to, where am I? I'm gonna click this off. Yeah, okay, there we go. Let's do it again. Namaste.